what's up? It's Snitchery. How you doing? So today I'm going to be talking about sort of how I got this like glowy boy beat, no makeup, but clearly wearing a lot of highlighter look. We're also going to be talking about romance in my life and why there has literally never been any. So if you're curious about that, definitely stay tuned. Make sure to subscribe to this channel if you haven't subscribed already, and like for the glowy boy beat and more makeup videos. So without further ado, I'll just get into the video. I know this first frame's going to be rough. I was looking rough at the beginning of this puppy, so don't say I didn't warn ya. I am so tired today. I was up literally all night until 4 a.m. I watched Steven Universe for 12 hours straight. I really forgot how cute that show was. I also obviously need to fix my face because I look so exhausted. Which leads me into my really freaking exciting sponsor. So I have loved this brand and been using this brand for the longest time. Y'all, this video is sponsored by Kiehl's. So the product I want to mention today is their Glow Formula Skin Hydrator. So this little baby is made with pomegranate extract and it's 95% naturally derived. And the cool part about this is that it's not just a moisturizer, it's actually going to build up the radiance of your skin over time. I received this in a package maybe 2 weeks ago, around then, and I've been using it every day since because I mentioned in my hair Q&A actually that I never ever really like to wear makeup anymore. I've gotten super lazy in the makeup game lately, particularly since I cut my hair. So I have been so into using this thing because it's not a BB cream. It's not pigmented like that, but it just sort of like magically evens out your skin tone. I'll just show you. I'll like stop talking about it. So if you can see, it has a little bit of pigmentation. It's gonna give you like the slightest bit of that sort of BB cream effect. It's definitely not gonna give you like coverage necessarily. So this is my tired ass grumpy before skin, and I'll show you what it looks like when I add this illuminator in. It's like instantly perks me up, thank goodness, from 12, not even 12, oh god, like 16 hours straight of watching cartoons. The cool thing about a product like this is that it's going to work for every skin type and every skin tone because it's not, like I said, it's not a BB cream. It's not targeted towards one certain skin tone. It won't give you like flashback or anything like that. You don't have to match it to yourself. It's literally like a one size fits all type of product. And I mean, you can just tell like I look so much less dead in the ground. So my favorite use for this product is literally just to like use it by itself, and then I'll do my eyebrows and put on some chapstick and we are good to go for a day of errands. However, you can also use it with moisturizer or add it into a tinted moisturizer or a BB cream. You can add it in like underneath your foundation. So I got a little closer up so you could actually see my skin. These puppies, eye bags, aren't going anywhere. I think because we're along this vibe of sort of like natural makeup, we're gonna go with sort of a boy beat today. Gina does these looks. I'll leave her channel down below, and I watch her videos and I really like sort of that vibe, especially with the pixie cut. Let's just cover up these puppies. That's what am I trying to say? That's step number one. Again, I'm using the ColourPop No Filter Concealers. So one thing I'll say about the Glow Formula Skin Hydrator, it keeps your skin sort of moist. It's not oily, and it's not wet, but it does make it easier to sort of smooth out, at least for me, my concealer, which is the reason I think it would be really good under foundation. And I'm gonna go ahead and set that. So typically I use my trusty old BH Cosmetics contour palette. I've also really been obsessed. This is the IT Cosmetics brush. I mentioned it in my last Get Ready With Me. I am so wholeheartedly obsessed with this, and I just go in with the 3 highlighter shades underneath my eye. I like popped out my nose ring somewhere in that process. How long has my nose ring been hanging out from my nose? No one was gonna tell me? None of you are gonna tell me? Fake friend. Okay, so I wanna pause here for a little bit and sort of get into the little chit-chatty portion of this video, right? So I'm sure a bunch of you clicked on the vid for the subject matter. We're gonna talk about it. I actually decided we're not gonna pause. We're gonna do my eyebrows so that I look like semi-respectable. So lately I've been using this Pretty Vulgar eyebrow pencil. I'm normally more of a pomade girl, but this pencil is actually super pigmented. It has that popular shape where it's like a line. It's actually really cut down on my makeup routine because eyebrows were always like the longest thing for me, and now it's really quick. I'm gonna have to be a beauty guru and do this off camera because I can't do it in this little mirror while you guys are watching me. I'm getting stage fright. Okay. I'll be back. Hello, I'm back. Did you miss me? So I'm gonna be using the Rich Amber Bronzer. These are new from Anasazi Beverly Hills, and we're gonna have a chat. So I am reading 100 books this year. That's like one of my goals for the year, and I just decided on it a week ago, 2 weeks ago, which is why it's not like 150 books this year, because I am a very fast reader, but I am, what is on my eyelash? I am like 3 months late. So the 2 books I've read most recently were The Song of Achilles and Call Me By Your Name, right? I actually really enjoyed both, though I did by far prefer Song of Achilles. I would give Call Me By Your Name like a 4.2, 4.1, and Song of Achilles was just a straight 5 book for me. The reason I didn't like Call Me By Your Name as much is, I guess, spoilers for the book and for the movie, so if you don't want to hear spoilers for either, there's not really much to spoil. I mean, most people know like the general premise. It's not like they're like twists and turns, but you can skip ahead. I'll put a timestamp for when I'm done talking about this movie. Okay, so here's the thing. I watched the movie first, and I loved it. The movie I have seen 8 times, and each time it has made me cry. You heard that correctly. I have seen that movie 8 times. I just feel like it's so, I feel like it just like strips away the fabrication that's in a lot of really popular movies nowadays. A lot of people complain that it was really boring or uneventful, and that there weren't necessarily that many obstacles in the path of the protagonist, and there should have been more conflict, because the vast majority of the conflict that arises in the movie is from Elio's own head. I mean, his family's supportive, the community's supportive. There's not really like an antagonist other than his anxiety. A lot of times we're just kind of hanging out with Elio in his yard while he's transcribing music or reading, or by the pool, which is called heaven in the book. That's what made it brilliant. Like in terms of the sound design, when they're sitting out by the fountain in the streets, the cars, the sound of the cars isn't like cut out. They have to raise their voices to speak over the cars. It's also, I heard it was filmed all on one camera, so you really do feel like you're sort of implanted into this like idyllic Italian paradise. The book kind of does the same thing, though the book is so much darker than the movie. So if you haven't read the book, it's essentially a play-by-play of the movie besides the last like 4th of the book. Not even a 4th, it's part 4 of the book. But it's more or less the same. It hits the same beats as the movie in terms of plot. The reason it feels so much different is because rather than just being like an omnipresent third-person view, it's told in Elio's perspective. And Elio is fucked up. So it's interesting because Elio is a 17-year-old boy. He's a teenage boy. And the way that he approaches his relationship with Oliver and the way that he sees the world is very perverse and strange and dark and oftentimes violent, and usually like 99 times out of 100 really sexually explicit. But when you can hear those thoughts, it's a very, very different kind of story. I actually think I probably would have liked it a little bit better if I hadn't watched the movie first. But both versions of the story really like touched me and made me feel something. I don't know, I was just really deeply affected, and I haven't been deeply affected by a story like that in a long time until I freaking read Song of Achilles. Now, I'm not going to spoil this book for anybody because this does have like twists and turns sort of in terms of the story, but basically this book is about a boy named Patroclus, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm pretty sure. I read it as Patroclus the entire time, despite the fact that it's written with a U, and I don't know why, but I'm pretty sure it's Patroclus and his relationship with Achilles. So in Homer's Iliad, they're presented as best friends, kind of. But it's sort of ambiguous whether they're just best friends and battle buddies or whether they have a romantic relationship. And then in works of late antiquity, it's presented as like explicitly a romantic relationship. So scholars are constantly debating the nature of the relationship between these 2 men. But Madeline Miller, is that her name? Who wrote this book? I have it here. Yeah, Madeline Miller basically did a like strict retelling of events of the Battle of Troy and sort of Achilles' relationship with Patroclus, but she decided to make it explicitly romantic in her retelling. So it's sort of the story of these 2 men, boys. You follow them from the time Patroclus is like 4 or 5 up into 20s, late 20s. 30s. But basically, like I said, it is a Iliad accurate portrayal of some of the events of the Battle of Troy. So any of you know how that went, then you know how that went. Same thing happens in the book. And it was wonderful. This book is so lyrically written. It's actually her first novel, which is insane to me. It took her, I read on Goodreads, 10 years to write. It is beautiful. So what I wanted to get at both of these stories is that they're both these grand romances. I mean, granted, one of them is literally like based in Greek mythology, so obviously that one is sort of championed by drama. But even Call Me By Your Name, which is literally just the story of these 2 men hanging out for 6 weeks over the course of a summer program in Italy, so much bigger than that. I'm explaining it terribly. The problem is, when I read books like that, I become expectant of how I think romance should go, because that's the way it happens in the stories. People who who watch a lot of movies. I did go to film school for 2 years before I switched my major. You know what I'm talking about. Like, things just seem so much grander when they're told in a condensed version with sort of all the mundane aspects taken out of it. This is the new NARS 1-2 cheek palette, by the way. It is gorgeous. I just got it in PR. This shade, this orange shade, shockingly, is by far my favorite. But when you read these stories, you cheat the act of like boring 21st century courting, and believe you me, I am not one of those people who's like, these millennials with their phones. Like, I work on the internet, obviously, I freaking love my phone. But when you read these stories, or at least when I do, and I grew up, like I said, reading fantasy stories and reading these just illustrious, insane romances, you do gain unrealistic expectations of how these things should go. By the way, I'm using just like a pointy little brush and then Benefit Gimme Brow. This is typically how I do half my freckles, and then I'll use another color to do the other half. But because of my love for reading and because of my love for these stories, this sounds really stupid. I know this sounds really silly, and I don't know if a single person can relate to this. However, I feel like I won't settle for something that's not this intense, spontaneous happenstance of a romance. I have a really difficult time. I'll see and talk to this guy at a bar, right? This is like a frequent occurrence where I will talk to a guy at a bar and he's really nice, and I get his number and everything's good and we're texting for a few days, and then I'm suddenly like, this is so mundane and boring, which is ridiculous because that's how most people meet their partners, is like out at bars or stuff like that. And I just can't bring myself to do it. This is how I was in college too. I didn't just want to date somebody from class. I wanted to freaking go on a trip to Paraguay and meet someone there, and he lives in Alaska and I live in Boston, and we have to figure it out together for the course of the next 14 years, and then we're gonna write our memoirs. It's gonna be beautiful. That is the level of drama that I expect, which is crazy. But that's how I am, and I think particularly because I really don't mind being single is the reason I'm sort of giving myself the luxury to wait for these things. Anyone can relate to this, literally anyone at all in any capacity. Let me know down below, because I know there's a part of me that's just like unrealistic and a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and that's a crazy thought to have. But I'm 21 years old, so there's plenty of time for me to have some crazy romance sometime in my future, and I think I'm okay holding out for it. By the way, this is the Too Faced Melted Chocolate Liquefied Lipstick. This is in Chocolate Honey. This is sometimes the other color I use for freckles. But yeah, that's the real reason I don't have a boyfriend, because I have insanely high expectations, not of him, but of the circumstance. This is the Anasazi Beverly Hills and Amrezy highlighter. How many times can I like scream about this highlighter? Are you seeing that? Are you literally seeing that? It's too much. It's also, I think, enhanced by the Kiehl's Glow formula because my skin is already sort of dewy rather than like super mattified. Ugh. I'm so bad at mascara, y'all. It's because I've been wearing fake eyelashes every day since infancy. I just never learned how to use mascara, and I get it all over my face every time I try to use it. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you so much for being my friend today and always. I will see you guys in the next one. Mwah. Bye, guys.